卵の価格は下がっている。ダウ平均は5万ポイントを超えている。こんな負け犬どもの言うことを聞くな。アメリカは復活した。
アメリカ、どのでトランプは打てている。Good morning. よし。You are not Japanese. You are not a Tanaka. You taught me to have an open mind. You're the best around. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. Welcome to my Wake Up America show. How's everybody feeling? Yesterday, somebody posted in the comments, what's up with the fake applause and the canned laughter? I'm like, are you serious? This is a live studio audience. What are you talking about? I swear to God, some people are incapable of having a good time. But you know what? I am. The AP for Liberty crew, we may be small, but we are mighty. And for God's sakes, we're going to have a laugh. We're going to laugh because things are funny. And if the boat's going down, everywhere we're surrounded. It's the Titanic. It's all coming down. The end of the world. Dogs and cats living together. Monkeys not getting cuddled in Japan. Mass hysteria. Did everybody see the monkey? Or is this meme too early? Are you going to hear about it on the Wake Up America show before you hear it on all those other shows that are nowhere near as good as the Wake Up America show? Well, did you see the monkey? Okay, well, there's some monkey in Japan apparently that's not getting cuddles. People are really upset about it. So yeah, there's sound effects, there's goofball, there's sad trombones. If you don't like it, get out. Would you rather live in a country that's dangerously free and has a sense of humor, or a country that is perfectly compliant and no one ever laughs? Because last night, during the longest State of the Union in the history of the Republic, we saw the clear, unvarnished line in the sand. We saw a president declare a golden age, and the opposition sat in stony silence, unable to even stand up for the safety of their own constituents. We're going to dissect the loyalty tests, the AI power wars, which I thought was really good, and the zero admissions border reality that has the left in a total paralysis. So if you thought last night was just a speech, you might have been missing out on a lot of the body language that was happening. So we're going to open the gates on the State of the Union, and we are not holding back. Hit the applause line, Dano. If you were a real audience, you would definitely be applauding at all these points, right? So, but the golden age, of course, has a very dark shadow. We aren't going to just wear rose-colored glasses about the reality of the world. There is a regulatory radius that is spreading out. So while we were watching the theatrics, or you were watching the theatrics in DC, I was playing with my daughter and being a normal human being. I just read the transcripts. The bureaucrats in California and the clips in the EU were finally finalizing a backdoor social credit system designed to strangle every small business in America that they can. So we're going to expose the ominous parallels between Beijing's control grid and the new ESG mandates that are going to be coming for your pocketbook. And at 8 a.m., the gloves come off. My mentor, the legendary Judge Andrew Napolitano, joins the show. He's accusing the Pentagon of, quote, perfect nihilism and second strike murders on the high seas. I'm going to push back. He's going to push back. We're going to find out if the Constitution still applies 600 nautical miles out to sea. You don't want to miss this clash of libertarian titans happening at 8 a.m. Central. Should be good. Later in the show, we're going to talk about the ultimate taboo. A man with Tourette's shouts the forbidden word at the BAFTAs, and the media class acts like he's committed a sacrilegious crime. So we're going to deconstruct the irrational hold that this word has on our culture and explain why it's high time we strip the magical power away from sound waves. We're talking biology. We're going to talk about history. We're talking about reason. It is the ultimate Wake Up America deep dive into the biggest superstition of the left. So, such naggers. So annoying. And listen, we have some massive goals today on the show, okay? If we raise $100 in the chat, we unlock the mini documentary, which is a deep dive on the Chinese Communist Party in Lego style that you won't see anywhere else. It only exists here. And if we hit $150 raised, the real chaos begins. We unlock the Great Grift Off, the game show where we compete head-to-head for real prizes from the Grift Shop. If you want the gear and you want the glory, hit those goals. We're going to build a parallel economy, the For Liberty Network, and we're going to have a blast, and we're going to laugh while we do it. We're going to have an absolute blast. So grab some Founding Flavors coffee this morning. If you're running low, head to forlibertyshop.com, strap in, and let's get to work. The State of the Union is dominant. The judge is loaded for bear. The truth is about to break loose. Wake up, America. We are live.
Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America.
That's what I want to hear. Oh, just tell me what I want to hear, Mr. President, and tell my audience what they want to hear so that they'll visit forlibertyshop.com. Oh, please, Austin. They would do that anyway. It's the golden age. So send us your gold. Head to forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a beautiful Betsy Ross flag, 250th anniversary special edition. Available at forlibertyshop.com. When you go to forlibertyshop.com, you'll see the 250th anniversary merch. At the top of the page, we've got wine glasses, 250 years strong join or die snake shirts. The Cheers to 250 Years commemorative whiskey glass, a beautiful Betsy Ross, designed by Stephanie herself, and shockingly low price there, Stephanie. Interesting. You can get those at forlibertyshop.com, and all of your purchases go to unlock that bonus content. We love America, and we're going to celebrate the 250th anniversary, damn it. So the president declared a golden age, but of course the moment that everybody is talking about last night was, I think, the ultimate loyalty test. Trump looked across the aisle and challenged the Democrats to stand up if they prioritized Americans over illegal immigrants. Take a listen.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Look at him. He might as well have just said, stand up if you're not gay. Perfect. So they sat there, they were glued to their chairs. It was an ultimate mask-off moment, a brilliant move by the president. The GOP roars. The entire left side of the aisle looks like they've been stapled to their seats. I mean, imagine being an elected official in the United States and struggling with the concept of putting your own constituents first. Even Democrats can't understand this stuff. Trump held the mirror up to the swamp, and the swamp refused to look. He's claimed 9 straight months of zero illegal emissions, a total shutdown of the admissions system, and the left can't even applaud for the safety of their own neighborhoods. It wasn't politics. This was just comedy gold. He was watching the people who represent you struggle with the concept of loyalty is the definition of the modern brain rot. Well, thank you. Live studio audience. All right, so let's talk about some of the substance behind just the smirking, right? The president stated flatly that for the last 9 months, the number of illegal aliens admitted to the country is exactly 0. He credited his zero admissions policy for turning off the spigot that the previous administration left wide open. He backed this up with data showing a 56% drop in fentanyl flow over the last year. This is the stuff that matters to normal people in Jefferson City and beyond. So while the media is fixated on the tone, Trump is fixated on the turnout. So he's making the border a Fortran level logical gate. Either you are authorized or you are out. And of course, the Democrats sit in stony silence while he's reporting these wins. They were holding up photos of protesters labeled premeditated murder, trying to paint law enforcement as the villains, while the president was celebrating the fact that your kids aren't ODing on Mexican fentanyl. The contrast is pretty startling, and the president leans into it with every ounce of his rhetorical power, hence the powerful animes that were dropped on it before the speech even potentially happened. Yes, America Fushka. I have no idea. I speak a little Japanese, not a lot. Thanks, somebody, for heading over to the Griff Shop this morning. Looks like you went to the For Liberty Shop website and got yourself a beautiful Betsy Ross tee. Thank you. That helps to unlock the bonus content. We're well on the way to unlocking phase 1. Thank you so much for that, and we're so grateful for all of the financial support. President Trump, the aura last night was so powerful, but he dropped a policy bomb that should have every tech titan in Silicon Valley sweating. It was so good. He called it the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, and I'm so excited to hear him say it because, for years, these big tech giants have been sucking the grid dry to feed these AI data centers, and our utility bills have skyrocketed. It's become a major issue here in the state of Missouri and in many other states that people are trying to push these things out. And yesterday, I gave an impassioned defense of AI data centers. And in my ideal world, we would be building nuclear power plants next to these things. But Trump says yesterday that if you want to build a digital temple, you better build with your own power plant to fuel it, which I'm like, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to hear. So he's refusing to let the working class subsidize the massive energy appetite of the AI elites. Why? Good. I don't pay for my AI. I'll pay for my AI. He tied this directly to his energy dominance plan, claiming that releasing the restraints on oil and natural gas, that we've brought gasoline down to $2.30 a gallon in most states. Fantastic. You love to see it. And I love to see this new approach. It's if you use it, then you pay for it. And tell the woke tech cartels pay their own way. They should. Right? The Green New Deal, at least by now, it's officially in the ash heap, right? This has been replaced by a president who thinks that the price of your electricity bill is more important than the virtue signaling of a tech billionaire. And you love to see it. You love to see it. Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, stronger than ever. This is the golden age of America. Scott Jennings on CNN reacted last night thusly.
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign.
Look at that lady's face. Hold on, pause that. Go back.
Sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of.
That is the chinless face of an angry, scorned woman. She never got the prom king. She chopped that hair off so fast, lost that chin, and drank so many bottles of wine. She's got 6 cats at home.
Man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads that Democrats wouldn't.
Look at Van Jones. Hey, Steffi, if you're watching the show right now, look what the pattern is on that slick jacket he's wearing.
Stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that you know, and it may have gotten a little muddled, but you know, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, you know, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
But don't I think the
yeah, I love it. Yeah, are you all doing your job? That's what the point of this whole exercise, you know, stand up if you stand with American citizens first. But they don't. The Democrats don't stand with American citizens first, do they?
The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where corruption and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that they...
So good. So good. It's so good. Okay, let's look at the money. Trump is rewiring the tax code for the working man. He touted the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is his re-election stamp on the economy. And the core of this, tips, overtime, now off the table for the IRS. So if you're a waitress in St. Louis, or a line worker pulling an extra shift, or an elite podcaster with a network who gets Rumble rants, the government's no longer reaching into your pocket for the extra effort of getting up early and streaming live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, and using your free speech to make a living. It's a good living. I'm not a waitress in St. Louis, but if I could benefit and they could benefit, hey, pay less taxes to the U.S. government. I think it's a win all around. I didn't lobby for the no tax on my Rumble tips, but I got it anyway. So Trump follows up with a mandate for able-bodied adults to work, volunteer, or train at least 80 hours a month to receive benefits. I love it. He's ending the era of the government handout and replacing it with the American hand up. He claimed he ended DEI in America, cutting the bureaucratic fat that has been strangling corporate productivity for a decade. It's a total rejection of the managerial state in favor of the individual producer. And again, if you watch the Democrats, they're sitting in silence while Trump talks about tips and overtime. They can't applaud for tax cuts because their entire ideology is built on taxing us all into submission. Now, to the streets. Right, Trump took a victory lap on Washington, D.C., claiming that joint operations led to over 8,700 criminal arrests. He declared that the capital is now one of the safest cities in the country, and he promised that Los Angeles is next on the list. He's bypassing local LAPD leadership and federalizing the cleanup of the streets. He even mocked the soft-on-crime prosecutors, saying that the day of the revolving door justice system are over. God bless him for that. He pointed to the Olympic hockey team on the floor as a symbol of American excellence, contrasting their gold medal success with the chaos of the urban centers that he is busy reclaiming. It's a powerful optical punch. Trump tells the American people that excellence is back, safety is back, and if the local mayors won't do their jobs, the Pentagon and the DOJ will do it for them. It's bold, it's aggressive, and it's exactly why the MAGA base is energized while the left is paralyzed.
And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card.
God.
Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
So wrapping up, the president called this a turnaround for the ages. 1 hour and 48 minutes of telling the establishment that the time is up. He presented medals of honor to a 100-year-old aviator and a special ops hero from the Maduro raid, reminding everyone that American spirit is rooted in courage, not compliance. He invited the family of the murdered Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, who the Democrats themselves couldn't find it in their heart to stand up for either.
Arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail, stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget there were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina.
Trump has renegotiated NATO to 5% of GDP, forcing our allies to finally pay more of their fair share. He's obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities. He's attacked and captured the dictators of Venezuela. The message was clear. America is not just back. America is dominant. But that image that will stick is the Democrats sitting down while Trump asked them to choose Americans over illegals. It's the definition of the State of the Union. One side building, the other side pointing. One side securing the grid, the other side defending the bureaucracy. Wake up, America. The golden age is here, but only if you have the courage to defend it. Coming up at 8 a.m. Central, we got Judge Napolitano coming up to talk about the legal fallout of the military strikes in the Caribbean. Don't go anywhere. I'm Austin Petersen. You're tuned in and watching to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Don't forget to keep helping to unlock that bonus content. Eric Wilson Live joined us. Amy J. Easley is here. Quest's Reveal of Liberty. Feeling very testy this morning. Good morning, Reveal. Don't forget, guys, click the like button. It's totally free. You can support the Wake Up America show and our whole 4 Liberty Network operation just by clicking the like button. And if today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show, please click the follow button as well. You'll get a notification on your Rumble app whenever we go live, which is, again, 5 days a week. So click the like button and the follow button, or visit forlibertyshop.com and check out the brand new 250th anniversary of the United States. Happy birthday, America gear. 250 years of American excellence. Head on over to forlibertyshop.com this morning during the live show. We'll be very grateful to have you come back here and join us 5 days a week. Okay, let's do it. So you might remember back in 2024 when the headlines proclaimed a massive victory for the little guy. So the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, had finally backed down on the infamous Scope 3 emissions rule. So the pundits in D.C. were popping champagne corks, telling you that the bureaucrats had been defanged. But if you've learned anything from watching the Wake Up America show, it is that the administrative state never surrenders. It only regroups. What we are witnessing today in February of 2026 is the closing of the regulatory radius, a subtle, styled, and systemic trap designed to ensnare every small business they can in this country without ever passing a single vote in Congress. So while the SEC took a tactical retreat to avoid the Supreme Court, they left the back door wide open for the radicals in Sacramento and Brussels to do their dirty work. So the term Scope 3 sounds like boardroom jargon, but it's actually a surveillance dragnet. It requires public corporations to announce and account for their carbon footprint of the entire supply chain, which means if you run a three-man machine shop in Missouri and you sell a single bolt to a public company, the government now claims the right to poke around in your ledgers. So they aren't just tracking smokestacks now, they're tracking your trucks, your power bills, and your compliance. So this is the end of privacy for the producer class and the beginning of the permanent record for the American entrepreneur. Now, you might be sitting here in a red state thinking, Austin, why should I care about what the SEC or the radicals in California are doing? Because as of January 1st, 2026, the California nuclear option is officially live. California Senate Bills 253 and 261 are now the de facto law of the land for every state in the union. The left has figured out they don't need a federal law if they can leverage the size of the California market to bully every major corporation into submission. These laws require any company doing business in California with significant revenue to disclose their climate risks and their supply chain data. But here's the kicker. The definition of doing business is so broad that it covers virtually everyone. If a major distributor sells products in Los Angeles, they are now demanding data from every single one of their vendors across the country to satisfy the California commissars. So this is a backdoor social credit system laundered through the private sector. Your local lumber yard, your family-owned trucking firm, your independent contractors, they are all being pulled into the compliance cage. If you can't afford the army of accountants and ESG consultants to prove you are green enough, you're cut off. And it's, of course, it's not about the environment. It's about eliminating the independent operator who refuses to bow to the regime. Here's the Beijing connection. So to understand where this is all going, we have to look east. Excuse me. The blueprint for this system wasn't drawn up in Washington. It was perfected in Beijing. The Chinese Communist Party has been refining their corporate social credit system for years, and the parallels to what is happening in America right now are absolutely ominous. In China, they call this the CSCS, and it functions as a totalitarian ledger that tracks every aspect of a company's behavior. It's not just about paying taxes, it's about political loyalty, environmental whims, and supply chain integrity. The CCP uses this system to make the private sector legible to the state. If a Chinese firm has untrustworthy partners, or if they fail a sudden environmental audit, that company is then immediately downgraded. And once you're downgraded, you are excommunicated from the economy. You can't get loans, your interest rates spike, and your executives are banned from traveling on high-speed rail or planes. Sound familiar? Well, it should, because what they do with the police power of the Politburo, our regime is doing through the insurance companies and the large cap banks. It's the same end goal: total transparency, total control over every transaction, ensuring that no business can operate outside the vision of the central planners. So this is the end of the American startup spirit as we know it, right? We're witnessing the erection of a compliance moat. Think about the incentives here, okay? If you're a young entrepreneur with a great idea, but you realize that before you even sell your first product, you have to spend $50,000 on ESG compliance software or carbon tracking, do you even start? Of course not. The regulatory radius is designed to ensure that only the massive woke corporations can afford to exist. This is hypercentralization masquerading as stewardship. By forcing the entire economy to become legible to the bureaucrats, they are killing the spontaneous order that made America the wealthiest nation in history. They want an economy of pets. They want you to live in the pod. They want you to eat the bugs. They do not want an economy of pioneers. Do you think they want a layer 8 tech at layer8tech.com? No, they want to destroy Drew Van Runkle. We're not going to let them. So while you were told that globalism was about free trade, it turns out it was actually about global standards of control. And while I have been a big proponent of free trade, I can admit that other countries definitely use their corporate class, their private markets, to engage in tyrannical behavior. They are hollowing out the middle class to ensure that the power remains concentrated in the hands of the few who are willing to play the game. It's a hostile takeover of the American dream by the managerial elite, and we're not going to stand for it. So here's the good news. Americans, they are waking up to the game. States like Florida, Texas, and Missouri are starting to fight back. They're banning state pension funds from using ESG criteria, so good on those states. And of course, my home state here, 36 degrees in Jefferson City, Missouri. We're seeing legal challenges to this California trap that are going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. But the fight doesn't just happen in the courts. It happens in your wallet, who you support. The truth is, if you want to break the radius, you have to support the people who refuse to comply. Now, I know that I'm preaching to the choir because of the people who are watching us on platforms like X or on Rumble, you are to some extent helping to build the parallel economy. So let's give it up. If you're watching us on X right now, if you're one of the 100 watching us on Rumble, pat yourself on the back because one, there's a great filtering that goes on with becoming someone who watches on rumble.com. And maybe you've never even thought of this, or maybe you're so high IQ. Many of you are probably way smarter than I am. But when it comes to the filtering, if you are getting on Rumble, you are already a cut above. Like you've already sort of entered an elite realm because just having the technical knowledge to be able to find an app like this, know what it is, tune into the show, drop comments, maybe click like or follow, then you are instantly categorizing yourself, showing what you're capable of. And what you're capable of is resisting the matrix. Now, do we get people who watch us over on YouTube? I'll say it. We shouldn't say its name, but we'll say it today because today is all about breaking taboos. We're going to talk with the N-word later. But if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on, say, Facebook, for example, you are not helping us. You're actually hurting us because even though I put it out there, I put it on those networks, they're like, well, why would you do something that hurts you? Because I want you to find this show and hopefully come join us where the air is clean. Can you tell me how to get to rumble.com? Yes, rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Those social networks are parasitic on our liberties. Those social networks are harmful to us. YouTube is run by Google, and Google hates us with the passion of 1,000 suns. Facebook hates us with the passion of 1,000 suns. For a few days, my professional Facebook page was blocked from posting at all, and we have a very severe, heavy restriction. They've throttled all traffic to us over on Facebook. Partially, it's because we got raided by the psychotic, deranged leftists last fall. But another part of it is that Facebook is just absolutely tyrannical in what viewpoints you're allowed to share. And you can't share a 200 IQ meme that is a right-wing meme on Facebook. But if you're watching us on Rumble or you're watching us on X, you're committed to the parallel economy. You're doing it. You're helping to build something that actually will operate outside of the matrix. So think about that when you're watching YouTube, when you're watching or when you're using Facebook or you're using Instagram, and again, guilty as charged, I do use these apps. Just remember that they're working against us. They're working against our values. Now, have Have I enjoyed a good Starbucks espresso every once in a while? Sure. Guilty as charged. Okay. Is every single cup of coffee that goes in my mouth certified founding flavors? No, but it should be. So here's the problem, guys. You need to support parallel economies. This was something that we all kind of did in the early days when we first started experiencing lockdowns and crackdowns on our free speech on social media, was that conservatives and especially libertarians, we would all band together and we would start building parallel economies. That's partially why I think many of these cryptocurrencies exist, is because we were looking for parallel economies. Bitcoin was great. We like Bitcoin, but now it's so mainstream and it's so bought in with these big corporations that a lot of people prefer to build parallel economies using parallel cryptocurrencies. So we have to wean ourselves away from companies that hate us, that are against our values. We have to start to whittle away their power. And we do have power. Boycotts are powerful. We have power in an economy through our individual choices. What we do, but what the media we support, the products that we're buying, it changes the game. It changes the game. Because the fact of the matter is that if the Wake Up America show, this show continues to grow, and our audience has waxed and waned and waxed and waned. We've gone up and we've gone down in terms of the size of our audience. But if right now, the 100, I'll call them, that join us live in the morning, we've got about 150 hardcore people helping to build this network. You're participating in the parallel economy. If you're donating $17.76, or if you've bought a box of Founding Flavors coffee, or you go to forlibertyshop.com instead of Amazon.com. We stopped selling on Amazon.com because we realized that we were really working against our own interests. There are some people who can go in, sell something on Amazon, make a bunch of money, great. Most of the time they don't own their customer data. They can't contact those people. If you buy a box of coffee from me, something goes wrong, you can call me, you can text me, I can solve your problem, okay? But these big tech companies, of course, who are you going to call? You're going to call somebody in India to solve your problem who can barely speak English. And what is that money going to be used for? They're going to use it to fund their employees' abortion funds, okay? I'm not joking. Starbucks does that. I mean, I'm joking, but it's definitely true. So every time you buy a box of Founding Flavors coffee, every time you buy a t-shirt from forlibertyshop.com, every time you just watch the Wake Up America show on X or on Rumble, you're supporting a parallel economy. You're doing something to break the chains that many of these private corporations who hate our freedoms and would destroy our freedoms in an instant and are spending billions of dollars lobbying to destroy our freedoms. They hate you. They want you dead. They want to destroy everything that you love. And CO Day says a parallel economy would be nice, but we can't even get along publicly. Well, you're right. But I think that the reason why a parallel economy works is because we have niches. So in my my battle plan this year to grow the For Liberty Network, I've been doing a lot of phone calls, speaking to people like yourself, Will, getting people on board, supporting the network. And I'll say that you don't need a majority to succeed. Everybody thinks, oh, well, these videos have millions of views, or these podcasters, they have millions, they have tens of thousands of people watching their show, and that's what you really need for success. Well, yeah, it would be nice to have 20,000 people watching your stream live, but I've always believed in the tortoise and the hare. Did anybody read that growing up? I was telling Stephanie, my wife, about this yesterday. I've always been the tortoise to the hare, right? Slowly building brick by brick. Eisenhower's crossing into Europe. Monty wants to go to Market Garden, wants to go to Arnhem, but it was a bridge too far. Now Austin wants to advance on every front, and slowly build and build and build and build. And we've got about 200 people right now, approximately, who are committed to pulling the For Liberty Network, to building it and growing. I got a phone call from a guy last night. I got a phone call out of the blue last night. Austin, what is this libertarian nationalism that I keep hearing so much about? I'm just like, It's a new movement. It's a new branch of the libertarian movement. Closed borders libertarianism, I guess. It's not that uncommon, is it? It's just common sense, pro-America. But this is a person who's kind of an insider in Washington, D.C., who I used to know. And he reached out to me and was like wanting to know what's going on. You know, how does it involve Javier Milei? What are you doing? How's this working? I'm like, it's crazy, man. I was explaining to him last night that the unbelievable, overwhelmingly positive response that I have received from people from the ideas of libertarian nationalism is great. Now, the negative response, of course, has been correspondingly huge as well. There's been a huge backlash. I see people in forums. I don't read all the comments, but I think it was a couple days ago on Facebook. And so I've definitely lost many friends in the last few months. But I see them attacking me with these big, long threads. Austin, what happened? He was almost our libertarian presidential nominee. Like, not really. No, you all loved Gary Johnson, and you deserved him. You loved your Chase Olivers, and you deserve them. But it was funny because this guy was telling me about the libertarian movement in Argentina, and it was fascinating because they have the same problems with their libertarians, guys. They had the same problem. Javier Milei, here's the thing. Like, the guy that I was speaking to in D.C., he's kind of like a brainiac guy. He's like a super, like, insider-y connected guy, you know, international traveler, all this stuff, right? An elite. And he's like asking me about, what is this libertarian nationalism? How does it work? Send me your manifesto. I need to read more about this. How does it involve Javier Milei? And he was telling me, he's like, I have these friends in Argentina that are libertarians. And he goes, and they have no idea where Javier Milei came from. He goes, and he goes, they're so shocked because they've been working on trying to advance libertarianism in Argentina for so many years, and they couldn't do it. And then they were like, they didn't even know who Javier Milei was. And I'm like, I knew who he was, bitch. You know why? Because so many of these people, they're in their ivory towers. They're not paying attention. So many people who believe what we believe. There's definitely ivory towered leftists, and they're like libertarians and like leftist, wokey, libertarian types and stuff like that. These are the people, many of them, who are attacking me now. Not all of them, but many of them. And it's the same thing. They couldn't see what Javier Milei was. They couldn't see the opportunity. They couldn't see the potential for greatness. So what did Javier Milei do? He knew that those people existed. Here's the thing. He didn't go and build a libertarian movement in Argentina with libertarians. No. I'm serious. I learned this, so I'm listening to this last night. He's telling me all this. He goes, yes, these well-respected economists, they didn't know who liberty. He goes, and I sense that, he goes, and I don't want to be uncharitable to them, but I sense that they are a little jealous of Javier Milei. I'm like, no shit. And the reason why he won, Javier Milei, he didn't go and try and build a power base amongst libertarians in his country. He said, no, he went and built a power base of libertarians and nationalists. He built a libertarian nationalist movement, and I'm studying that movement. I'm watching it grow, and I'm seeing all these incredible victories, like last year when they increased his representation with the Libertad Avanza party. Why can't we have liberty at home? I want liberty at home, liberty at home. You can just do things. You can just do things. Right? You can do things. You can support the parallel economy. You can click the like button. You can watch us on X. You can watch us on Rumble. You can buy a product from forlibertyshop.com instead of Amazon.com. I know we all love that 2-day shipping. We're all sort of addicted to that, especially for electronics and tech. I'm guilty of using it. I'm not saying that let he who is without tech sin cast the first stone. But if you're here on Rumble, you're here on X, I want to give you an extra special pat on the back. You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You literally are the revolution. You are revolting against big tech and everything that they stand for. When you watch us on Rumble or when you watch us on X, you are committing an act of revolution. Treason against the elites is not treason. Treason is the reason for the season. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. Have these canned applause effects driven you off yet entirely? Good. Who needs you? Click the like button if you haven't already, and the follow button as well. Have we gotten our downvote yet? Oh, Liz. I know you're out there, Liz. I know you're listening. Seething with rage. Arvold says, I want liberty. We have liberty at home. Libertarians are the liberty home. No! It hurts, Arvold. It hurts. You're right, but it hurts. Judge Andrew Napolitano is going to join us live at 8 a.m. Central to talk about those strikes in the Caribbean. We're going to talk to him at 8 a.m. And then a man with Tourette's syndrome was at the BAFTA Awards, and when two black men got up on stage, he let out an unfortunate slur. They were nagging him about it. Yes, so we're going to talk about that and why it's time to take away the power that word has over our discourse. Oh, good. I haven't had my black pill for the week yet. Well, Peter, hey, listen, you got to have at least one black pill a week. But 4 out of 5 days a week here on the Wake Up America show. It's very white pilled, wouldn't you say? Wake up. Why don't you put on a little makeup? I get so many guys who criticize my appearance, and I'm just like, so does that mean that you're not attracted to me? Yes. And they're not all gay guys, or at least like not openly gay guys. I guess they're all gay guys, but it's kind of gay. But when you stream live 5 days a week in full high definition, when you're kind of like an aging, I'm 45 years old. Can you believe it? You know, I look like crap. I'm not young anymore. I know. When you're a young person, you're not prepared for just how much society hates you when you start growing old. You know what I'm saying? They see you, they take one look at you, and they're like, "Afuera! Get out, drive you out of society." But you know, you're more demonized than even transgenders are. So transgenders are lifted up and lionized by society. Everyone loves transgenders, but they'll never forgive you for getting old. I'm Austin Petersen. This is the Wake Up America show. Sometimes things go a little bit off the rails, and the first hour of the show, I think, definitely did. I just want to say thank you to everybody who still is committed to supporting parallel economies, because it matters. And real movements, real cult movements like the one we're building right now can go mainstream once they reach a sort of critical tipping point, and we're rapidly approaching that. So thank you to everyone who's participated in that. We'll have Judge Napolitano coming up in less than 10 minutes. We do have bonus content for you. I produced a documentary in a Lego style of the history of the Chinese Communist Party, and it reveals just how few people really are members and active participants in the Chinese Communist Party itself. So if you want to see that mini documentary, it's available to unlock. It's an unlockable. This show has 2 phases of unlockable bonus content. So if you want to see it, all you have to do is help us to raise $100 for the mini documentary. We're at $35 raised so far, and that's pretty good for the first hour. So if you want to unlock the bonus content, drop a Rumble rant. If you don't know how to drop Rumble rants, or you just don't want to give Rumble your credit card or whatever, you don't want to sign up, that's totally fine. You can also unlock bonus content and support the Wake Up America show's For Liberty Network when you go to forlibertyshop.com. At forlibertyshop.com, our 250th anniversary merch is available on the front page. Stephanie put it out there. Click on that lovely lady there with her Betsy Ross flag style t-shirt, and check out some of our other awesome merch, like the Join or Die Snake, 250 years strong, beautiful shirt. I'm getting that one today. Thank you, JJ. Millet is populist maxing while libertarian. Yes, absolutely. He's a right-wing libertarian. The guy's pro-life, you know? Afuera! How could you not love Javier Milei? He's doing it right. He's doing it perfect. That's the libertarianism they have, and I plan on working to bring it here, which is why we're launching a brand new live talk show starring Mylene Salabaria. She's going to be joining us, joining the network next week. Can you believe it? We've been working on this for months, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have a new show, our 5th show on the For Liberty Network. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of training, a lot of me yelling at Mylene, just push the button. Just push the button. And so she's going to be launching her show, Cafecito Libre, which is sort of our entryway to Latin America, South America, at rumble.com/Cafecito Libre. So if you haven't followed her show page yet, please do so during the commercial break that's coming up here in just a few minutes. Cafecito Libre will be hosted by Mylene Salabaria. She is a Cuban refugee who fled to Europe, managed to become an American citizen, moved to the United States, and now she is a libertarian, and she is joining the Wake Up America shows For Liberty Network. I'm so thrilled because it's a triumph. Remember, we didn't build this out of nothing. We built this together. You know, JJ4884, he kicks in a couple bucks. You know, that helps push us in the right direction so we can do even more of this. I mean, just imagine how exciting it's going to be. Imagine how exciting it's going to be when we have an army all working on the For Liberty Network. When we've got about 800 to 1,000 people all working on this full time, and we're not just a mom and pop shop operation. Right now, we've got about 5. Well, if we count everybody, let's count everybody. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. We've got about 7 people right now working on the For Liberty Network, doing shows, working behind the scenes, making stuff happen. Cafecito Libre, Liberty Tonight, Culturama, there's our Discord, and of course the Wake Up America show that you're watching right now. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. So, yes, we will be right back. Judge Andrew Napolitano is going to be coming up next. He's challenging both the deep state and the administrative state. Don't forget, grab a bag of Founding Flavors coffee, unlock the bonus content, keep this network independent. We'll be back with Judge Andrew Napolitano. Don't go anywhere. In a city where businesses never sleep, the technology still crashes. When technology turns criminal, they send up the signal. He's not a myth, and he's definitely not your nephew who knows computers. He installs, he protects, he backs it up, he keeps your business online and out of trouble. Managed IT, security, cloud, support that actually answers the phone. Layer 8 tech. When your network breaks, he wakes. Call Drew before your tech needs a rescue signal.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
it always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
The left in America tells us not to have kids to save the planet, but in Cuba, they stopped having kids because the state destroyed the earth.
Collectivism doesn't create justice. It creates shortages, corruption, and power for the few. I've not just seen it, I've lived it. My family escaped it. Now the same failed ideas are being sold to a new generation. I'm here to expose the lie and defend liberty. From Cuba to Argentina to the United States, the freedom movement is rising. Cafecito Libre is the exile voice of economic truth. Cafecito Libre, premiering March 3rd as part of the For Liberty Network, only on Rumble.
Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop4libertyshop.com. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, no corporate slogans. Just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the For Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot. This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here. And it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit forlibertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's forlibertyshop.com. In a city where businesses never sleep, the technology still crashes. When technology turns criminal, they send up the signal. He's not a myth, and he's definitely not your nephew who knows computers. He installs, he protects, he backs it up, he keeps your business online and out of trouble. Managed IT, security, cloud, support that actually answers the phone. Layer 8 tech. When your network breaks, he wakes. Call Drew before your tech needs a rescue signal.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Joining us now, a man who needs very little introduction, a giant in the liberty movement, former Superior Court judge, and the man who taught an entire generation of Americans to distrust the encroachment of government power, including me. Judge Andrew Napolitano has been a mentor to me and a North Star for the constitutionalist right for decades. Today, he's sounding an alarm few others are willing to ring. In his latest piece, the judge accuses the Trump administration of descending into a state of, quote, perfect nihilism, alleging that our military is engaged in unlawful murder on the high seas and systematically silencing dissent in Congress. Judge, an honor to have you here. Thank you for joining me today.
No, thank you, Austin. Thank you again for your generous, over-the-top introduction.
Judge, let's talk about these boat attacks. You call them murder because the occupants are, quote, civilian non-combatants. So if the administration has officially designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, does that legally change their status to unlawful combatants who aren't entitled to civilian protections? What is the law here?
Well, the law is that in the administration, that the federal government cannot kill a non-combatant no matter what it calls that person. So calling them a terrorist does not make them a terrorist. It would have to be evidence that the government has that they engaged in violence against the United States, not that they engaged in the distribution of drugs. Austin, not only is there no evidence violence, there's also no evidence that's been produced of the distribution of drugs. When the Justice Department asked the Defense Department what evidence it had that the survivors were engaged in the distribution of drugs, the Defense Department had nothing. So this is just a stunt pulled off by shoot-em-up Pete Hegseth at the behest of, I'm the strongest man in the world, Donald Trump, to manifest to the American people how powerful and murderous the American military is. There's no justice here whatsoever. There's no compliance with the law, and the efforts to rescue these people has been absolutely criminal, that you would think you could rescue somebody who's been floating in the ocean for 44 hours.
Judge, you mentioned that the DOJ tried to indict 6 members of Congress. What for?
The alleged crime was disrupting the morale of the military by reminding military members that they are obliged not to comply with an illegal order. So if you've been in the military, if you've had basic training, as I have, on around day 3 or 4, you're given a lecture in your obligation to challenge and disobey illegal orders. An order to kill a non-combatant is an illegal order. That's basically what these members of Congress said. The Justice Department sought to indict them for their speech at a grand jury proceeding. There is no judge, there is no defendant, there is no defense counsel. The grand jury hears only what the government wants it to hear. Whatever the government told it, this is Janine Pirro, whatever her office told the grand jury, they said, no, we're not indicting. So that collapsed. At the same time, the Secretary of Defense, who calls himself the Secretary of War, sought to reduce the rank and thus the pay of Senator Mark Kelly, who's a retired Navy captain. So he sought to reduce his naval rank so as to punish him for his speech because he was one of the 6. When Senator/Captain Kelly challenged this in federal court, the federal judge said, never before in American history has a member of the military had their pension reduced because of speech, and it's not going to start now, and he invalidated it. So you have a government here that is not only killing people, it's trying to crush the dissent of those who challenge it.
Judge, there's a generalized apathy, I think, that the American people feel these days. I don't know if it's drugs, alcohol, or just a social isolation, especially since COVID, that's just heightened this sort of numbness that you can see that Americans have towards issues like these. And I think
Yes.
I think when you look at what's happening in Puerto Vallarta, Judge, it's probably one of the best examples of why Americans don't care. I think most Americans look at the violence in Puerto Vallarta and they see the terrorism that the narco dictators engage in South America, and they probably look at Donald Trump as a hero for killing these people. Wouldn't you agree?
I think you're probably right. And that will come back to haunt all of us if a President Gavin Newsom starts killing people who are marching for right to life, or libertarians who say don't pay your taxes. I mean, the idea of killing people is reprehensible. And when the government does it and gets away with it, it foments more violence. But I agree with your point, the indifference of the American people toward the lawlessness of this administration, because it has succeeded in demonizing the people that it has killed, is a reprehensible problem that we're going to live with for a long time. It'll be Trump visiting his narcissistic, demonic, murderous excesses upon us long after he's left office, when whoever succeeds him does the same thing, perhaps from the other side of the aisle.
Now, on one hand, you have John Adams, who talked about the Constitution was fit for a moral and religious people. And, let's say that is true. Let's assume that he was actually correct about that one. I dispute it, but I can say that I see some merit to his arguments there. Now that we live in a society where the demand side for these drugs, our fellow Americans are absolutely addicted to these drugs. It's not just homeless people. Judge, you and I, we've run in elite circles. Drugs are everywhere. Everyone is using these drugs. So we have this problem that's a cultural problem, a societal problem, because the war on drugs probably will never end, and the desire for Americans to use these drugs will probably never end, and Mexico becomes a narco state for just the simple fact that most of our Americans are hooked on these drugs. Does that mean that John Adams was right, that to some extent, that how can we carry with a clear head a morality of liberty, the one that we inherited from those founding fathers, when we are so completely alien to them, that the usage of drugs was so rare back then? I know you're going to say George Washington grew hemp, but they didn't have crystal methamphetamines. These are new problems that the founders didn't deal with. So was John Adams right? Is it a moral failure of the American people that we are so addicted to these chemicals?
Well, it's a moral failure of the people who become addicted to this stuff. You say everyone's using them. I don't use them. You don't use them. I don't know anybody who does. And I have friends all across the board, from blue collar to very serious positions in the government and in industry and everything in between. But if you're going to give the government the power to tell us what to consume, then you're going to reject a very basic tenet that you and I embrace, which is that you own your own body. The government doesn't. Many of the cartels would be put out of business overnight if cocaine were available like marijuana is now. Isn't it funny? They don't have to export marijuana anymore. There's no more violence and people going to jail over marijuana, and the sky didn't fall. So I'm 100% with Ron Paul on this. You can put the cartels out of business overnight if you make this stuff legal and available.
We often talk about alcohol in comparison to drugs, but alcohol is a drug. And so there is that same prohibitionist attitude that came with the suffragettes the temperance came with the temperance movement came along, and of course created the initial scourge, which was the war on alcohol. Now we have this war on drugs, and you're right, Judge, that the government stepping away from regulating people's personal behaviors was the right move. But there does have to be, I guess, with liberty comes responsibility, right? So you can't have liberty if you don't have responsibility. So what are the responsibilities, I guess you might say, of an upstanding citizenry? If the drugs are legal, what would you say are the responsibilities of functioning adults in a Republican society? Judge, what are the responsibilities?
You're asking me about personal moral responsibility, or asking me about the role of the government?
No, if the government, let's say that the government gives you and I everything that we want. Adult consenting adults can use these substances if they wish. What do you think is the moral responsibility of adults in a free system?
Well, it's the same as alcohol, not to consume it in a time, place, and manner that would harm yourself or harm others. It's pretty basic, and the government doesn't give us anything. It's the government removes itself from interfering with a natural right that we have to ingest whatever we want. So, forgive me for correcting.
No, you're correct. You're right.
Question.
No, you're right. I think of this as a fight for our rights. So we've got to give it back. They've taken it, so we've got to give it back. But you're right, in that, just like the freedom of speech, which presupposes the government. So I guess my question is that if we want to advocate for the destruction of prohibition, I think that we sometimes miss out on that moral responsibility, because we want people to be able to make those decisions for themselves, but without sort of leading, and as an example, as you are, Judge, and I know you're right, there are many people who don't use, addictive drugs like cocaine or heroin, but I do classify alcohol as a dangerous drug because it's the most dangerous drug of all. Most people use it. It's what causes lots of car crashes. It's dangerous. So I think that moral responsibility probably would assuage the American public, who are so apathetic and who look at libertarians as sort of libertines. But you're not. We're not all like that. You live a very chaste life to a large extent. I mean, I know we've had our alcohol, but you're right, Judge. You do abstain from those things, and I think setting a moral example as libertarians is probably important too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. But this is a personal, individual choice in which the government should have no role. Now, with respect to prohibition of alcohol, the government, well, it's beyond the government, because this was two constitutional amendments. So the American society, speaking through 3/4 of the state legislatures, decided they would rather tolerate the consequences of the excess of alcohol, like automobile crashes with drunk drivers, than they would tolerate the excesses of government telling you what you can ingest into your own body. We still have, unfortunately, laws where the government can check what you have in the veins of your body, which of course is none of the government's business. So to me, DWI laws are unconstitutional and immoral, because unless there's an accident, there is no harm, and crime is harm. And the government should only be in the business of prosecuting criminal behavior from which there is palpable harm. So the idea that if you have more than 0.08 content of alcohol in your veins at a given time, you have committed a crime, even though no one has been harmed, is totalitarian. Who the hell is the government to get inside my veins?
Yeah. Last question on that point, Judge. How do you feel about Canada's assisted suicide legislation and how it's been carried out? It's deeply troubling to me to see so many young people who claim depression, or people that cannot afford care, being recommended by the government that they commit suicide. It's deeply troubling, and something that gives me pause when considering my libertarian views on whether or not people, legalized assisted suicide should be allowed, because in theory, I agree with it, but in practice, the government has taken it over and turned it into an abomination where they're trying to legalize killing children, Judge. How do you feel about the Canadian system of euthanasia?
I agree exactly as you do. In theory, you should be able to do what you want with your own body. In practice, this is repellent and catastrophic. It certainly can't be done by children because they don't have the mental capacity to make this decision. And there is a role for government in preventing that from happening with respect to children. With respect to adults, I mean, I have to swallow hard on this. I'm an old-fashioned pre-Vatican II Latin Mass attending Francis Leo skeptic, Holy Ghost worshiping Roman Catholic, which condemns any form of suicide. But I'm not so sure the government has a role in telling us what to do with our own bodies. So I'm going to defer to my first principles, which are that you own your own body. But your ability to exercise decisions about that ownership doesn't attach until you have the ability to reason, and I don't think children have the ability to reason.
Gosh, I'm so glad to hear you say that, Judge, because I sometimes wonder if that seeing that you felt that same conflict as well, and it makes me feel better to know that you do, just because being a pro-life secularist, being someone who believes that the value of human life is intrinsic because of the greatness and the beauty and the majesty of life, and of human life being the best and the greatest of this universe, created by God perhaps, or I don't know, but all I can know is that life is good and something that we should encourage. I cannot look at what Canada is doing and not swallow hard, like you said, and question everything that I believe, because the first principle is that they should have that individual liberty. But in practice, seeing what the totalitarian government of Canada is doing to its citizens, I can't help but wonder if that isn't what it would be if it were to come to the United States. It's deeply troubling, Judge. But I know you're very busy, and we started late, Judge. I love to be able to debate these things with you, because no one else in the world can have these conversations. Will you please share with me what's coming up on your excellent show, Judging Freedom?
Well, today I have Phil Giraldi, Aaron Monte, and Professor Jeffrey Sachs. Tomorrow, Colonel Larry Wilkerson and Colonel Douglas McGregor and Scott Ritter. So we're very heavily into the imminent war in Iran. All of my guests have manifested the view that Iran does not pose the slightest scintilla of threat to the national security of the United States. And the lies that Trump told last night, which are reprehensible and defied by his own director of national intelligence, that Iran is building a nuclear weapon to attack Europe and attack the United States. According to Tulsi Gabbard, they haven't been working on nuclear weapons since 2003, 23 years ago. That's the stuff we talk about, which you won't see on Fox or Newsmax or MSNBC or CNN or CBS News or any of the mainstream places.
Judge Andrew Napolitano joins us every Wednesday on the Wake Up America show at 8 a.m. Central. Thanks, Judge. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Austin. All the best.
There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties that we had, guys. Hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation. It may be a little black-pilled, but it's good to hear from the other side every once in a while.
卵の価格は下がっている。ダウ平均は5万ポイントを超えている。こんな負け犬どもの言うことを聞くな。アメリカは復活した。
You love to see it. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. Glad and thankful to have you here again. Sorry about those technical questions. Looks like we unlocked the bonus content. Nice. All right, guys. Enjoy the bonus content. When we get back, we're going to talk about the N-word. Yes, that N-word. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Imagine a vast, ancient land torn by chaos, where empires crumble and new powers rise from the ashes. This is the story of how the communists conquered China, not through the will of the people, but through cunning, violence, and relentless ambition. Forget the party's glossy propaganda. The real tale is one of marginal rebels who clawed their way to victory against all odds. The evidence tells a different story than you'll find in the party's triumphant propaganda. The Communist Party of China was born in 1921, a tiny spark in a sea of turmoil. Founded with Soviet help, it struggled in the shadows. In bustling cities like Wuxi, with 100,000 workers, the party boasted just 25 members in 1929. Across Zhejiang's 20 million people, only 2,600 joined, barely 1 in 7,700. Members skipped meetings, ignored ideology, and squandered funds. Many branches were ghosts on paper, inflated for more resources from Moscow. Even in Europe, communism was stronger. Portugal, under a brutal dictator, had 1 communist per 280 people. In China, 1 in 1,700 at best, matching the US, hardly a red powerhouse. In poor Gansu, with 6.7 million souls, just 264 members in 1939, dropping to 143 after a purge. Foreign observers saw it clearly. In 1934, a US military attaché declared no real communist threat. They controlled less than 2% of China, huddled in barren mountains. Newspapers barely noticed them. The fall of their Jiangxi Soviet in 1934, buried on page 3. The Long March, a desperate flight, not a heroic epic. China buzzed with bandits, warlords, riots, and foreign invasions, like Japan's 1931 grab of Manchuria or the 1929 Sino-Soviet War. Amid this storm, communists were footnotes, preying on villages with loot and ransom. Historians often echo the party's fairy tale. Imperialists and reactionaries crush the masses. Communists rally peasants with land reform, fight Japan, and topple the fascist nationalists under Chiang Kai-shek. But that's a myth, crafted early. In 1935, after the Long March left Mao with a ragged 6,000 survivors in dusty Shanxi, he summoned journalist Edgar Snow. Snow, enchanted, spun a legend, Mao as a freedom fighter against Japanese invaders, his ragtag army a beacon of hope. Red Star Over China became a global bestseller, romanticizing communists as underdogs battling Goliath. It erased rivals like the Communist Youth League and China's democratic thinkers, leaving only Mao versus corrupt Chiang. But victory wasn't won with hearts, it was seized with blood. From the start, violence fueled the engine. In 1926, allied with nationalists, communists incited mobs to burn and loot. Expelled in 1927, they survived by sieging towns, executing class enemies, and plundering. Land reform? It starved everyone, as farmers hid crops and produced nothing. Pushed out, they wandered, nearly extinct by 1936. Moscow saved them, forcing a fragile alliance with nationalists against Japan in 1937. While Japanese armies ravaged coastal cities, displacing government forces, communists hid in Yannan's lowest caves, safe, isolated, building strength. Mao's promises dazzled. Democracy, freedoms, private property, and on new democracy. Thousands of intellectuals flocked to Yan'an, dreaming of justice. But reality struck. Endless self-criticism, denunciations, torture, purges. Thousands died, yet propaganda beamed equality. By 1945, Mao had a propaganda juggernaut, a purged party, and an army. Stalin struck again. Soviet troops seized Manchuria, blocking Chiang, arming Mao's guerrillas into a machine. Civil war erupted, 1945 to 1949. Communists waged total war. Sieges starved cities like Changchun, where 160,000 civilians perished in famine. Human waves of conscripts overwhelmed enemies, tactics that later shocked UN forces in Korea. Refugees fled to government zones, never the other way. Cities fell like dominoes, leaders surrendering to avoid slaughter. Chiang escaped to Taiwan. In 1949, Mao proclaimed the People's Republic, a liberation bought with millions dead. This wasn't a popular uprising harnessing social forces, it was unrestricted warfare. Deceive, sabotage, attrition. Communists outmatched opponents in ruthlessness, wielding ancient strategies like Sun Tzu's. Feign weakness. Strike hard. Believe utterly in the cause. China fell not to ideology's appeal, but to the barrel of a gun. The party's triumph hid the truth. Communism was never popular, imposed by force. Today, as archives crack open, the real story emerges. A gripping saga of survival, betrayal, and conquest that reshaped a nation. In a city where businesses never sleep, the technology still crashes. When technology turns criminal, they send up the signal. He's not a myth, and he's definitely not your nephew who knows computers. He installs, he protects, he backs it up, he keeps your business online and out of trouble. Managed IT, security, cloud, support that actually answers the phone. Layer 8 tech. When your network breaks, he wakes. Call Drew before your tech needs a rescue signal.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making. BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making. BAFTA of the night for a vital...
Excuse me? Ooh. This is going to be a tough one. Wake Up America, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. We're going to start with the facts, not the feelings, surrounding the BAFTA scandal that has the corporate media in a total meltdown. John Davidson is a Scottish activist who's lived with Tourette's for 40 years. He was at the awards because he's the executive producer of a nominated film called I Swear. It's a movie about his own life. And during the ceremony, his brain did exactly what it was designed to do in stressful situations. It triggered a symptom called Coprolalia, which is the involuntary use of offensive language. According to the new exclusive interview in Variety, Davidson was seated 40 rows back. He expected the BBC to manage the audio, but instead, the world heard a neurological misfire. So Davidson describes the feeling as a shaken bottle of Coke that bursts out like a gunshot. He has no control over the content of what he says. He's previously punched his own mother in the face during a tick attack, and obviously he feels terrible about it. If the medical community accepts he cannot control his fists, why is the media class acting as if he can control his phonemes? We're witnessing the criminalization of a condition to protect the fragility of the elite. So to understand why he said the N-word, you have to understand echolalia. This is a medical fact. A Tourette's brain searches for the most taboo, most upsetting word possible to release the internal pressure. We've all felt it. During the show, Alan Cumming made a joke about Paddington Bear, children's character. Davidson's brain immediately associated children with pedophile, and he shouted it out. Okay. Now, when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo took the stage, his brain searched for the linguistic third rail. The one sound he knows is forbidden above all others. It's an associative glitch, not a racist manifesto.
And I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
Poor guy. He's going to get beat up. Can you imagine? saying that. Let's go out there on the streets, see what happens, say something like that. Data shows only 10 to 30% of Tourette sufferers have that symptom. But for those who do, it is a living hell. Davidson has been beaten with an iron bar because of these tics. He had heart surgery 5 weeks ago. He's a man in physical agony who's being told by the woke mob that his neurons are offensive. So we've reached a point where we're valuing the comfort of multimillionaire actors over the actual biological reality of a disabled man. Let's look at the history, because words like nigger and bitch, they don't start out as weapons. We make them that way. The word in question originated from the Latin niger, which was simply a descriptor for the color black. In the 17th century, it wasn't the nuclear bomb it is today. It was only during the 19th century, specifically around the American Civil War, that it was unconsciously re-engineered into a status marker to denote an inferior class. By the mid-20th century, comedians like Lenny Bruce and Dick Gregory recognized the danger of that power that the word was given. In 1964, Dick Gregory titled his autobiography with the slur. He did it on purpose. He said, and I quote, "Whenever you hear the word, they're advertising my book." He understood that you cannot kill a word by burying it. You can kill it, however, by commoditizing it. So he wanted to strip the sting by making the word commonplace. But sometime in the last 50 years, we decided to do the opposite. We decided to turn the word into a relic, a scared object that only certain people can touch. And by doing that, you've given the racists and the provocateurs the ultimate weapon to use against you. Brad, don't post that on Facebook, okay? That clip. Okay? Not Facebook and not on Instagram. And not on YouTube. You can only say that on Rumble and X. We've been here before, though. In the 17th century, in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the N-word wasn't the problem. The problem then was blasphemy. So the 1641 Body of Liberties made it a capital crime to swear by God's name. So if you said goddamn, you could have your tongue bored through with a hot iron. Why? Because society at the time believed that words had magical power to harm the divine. As we became a more secular society, we stopped caring about religious profanity. F-bombs are now in every movie and commercials and streams, but we didn't become less taboo-driven, we just swapped the gods. Today, identity is the new divinity. Racial slurs are the new blasphemy. Communism is their new religion. We've replaced religious commissars with the DEI officers. The punishment is no longer a hot iron to the tongue, it's a social excommunication and the loss of your livelihood. We are replaying the witch trials of Salem, but we're doing it on Twitter and at the BAFTAs. We've traded the Bible for the handbook of sensitivity, but the result is the same, the suppression of truth in favor of superstition. Let's talk about repetition theory. Lenny Bruce had a famous bit in the early 60s where he said the N-word over and over and over again until the audience stopped flinching. His goal was to remove the sting of the word. He said, and he understood that words only have the power we agree to give them. So if we treat a sound like Voldemort, like he who must not be named, we're granting that sound magical status. We're creating a linguistic arms race. Think about other words that have had this hold. The word heretic, that used to mean you were burned at the stake. The word communist could destroy you entirely in the 1950s, regardless of the facts. We keep creating these linguistic traps because they are tools of control. If the regime can define what is unmentionable, they can define who is untouchable. So by giving the N-word so much weight, we're handing this loaded gun to anyone who wants to silence dissent. It's time to de-escalate. It's time to stop acting like sound waves can break bones. Now, the ultimate solution to this, rationality. You have to judge people based on intent, not just the output. John Davidson had zero intent. He is disabled. He is a man with a misfiring brain who is celebrating his life's work. If you cannot distinguish between him and a KKK member, then we have literally lost our collective mind. We need to remove the word from its place of power, not because the word is good, but because the power we give it is dangerous. As long as we treat a slur as a social nuclear bomb, we're going to be subject to the tyranny of the fragile. We must return to a society that values character over codes, truth over taboos. We should be celebrating Davidson's courage for showing up despite his condition, not condemning him for the involuntary biology of his existence. I say it's time to disarm the outrage industrial complex. Wake up, America. Don't let the taboos run the asylum. And every once in a while, as long as you're using it descriptively, not pejoratively, yes, you can say the word nigger. Thank you. It's just a word. It's just a word. Click the like button if you applaud bravery. Click the follow button if you want to join the movement. I'm so grateful to have all of our friends who stick through us, even when we have to deal with uncomfortable subjects. When we get back on the Wake Up America show, I've got something special for you. The final monologue, the closing. We're going to wrap it all up, everything we discussed today, and we'll send it on home on the Wake Up America show and the 4 Liberty Network. Bitch.
In a city where businesses never sleep, the technology still crashes. When technology turns criminal, they send up the signal. He's not a myth, and he's definitely not your nephew who knows computers. He installs, he protects, he backs it up, he keeps your business online and out of trouble. Managed IT, security, cloud, support that actually answers the phone. Layer 8 tech. When your network breaks, he wakes. Call Drew before your tech needs a rescue signal.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
Well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
it always has been.
Yet anytime you and I question the schemes
Some waiting music. Let's get the cues going. Let's get all the people into the streams.
What is happening?
I work for the Worker Circle now.
That was the Democrats last night at the State of the Swamp. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. We're wrapping up a historic broadcast today. If you take away one lesson from the last 2 hours, let it be this. Reality does not care about the establishment's feelings. Last night, President Trump stood up at that podium for 148 minutes and described a country that the corporate media says doesn't exist. He talked about a border where 0 illegal aliens have been admitted in 9 months. He talked about gas at $2.30. He talked about a new golden age. And while he was speaking, the Democrats sat there like they were at a funeral. Why? Well, it's because they are mourning the death of their narrative. They've spent years telling you that open borders are inevitable, that high gas prices are a transition, and that you just have to accept the decline. Well, Trump just proved that decline is a choice. He's building an invisible wall of policy and an actual wall of steel. And the only thing that the left can do is sit on their hands and pout. This is the ultimate lesson in leadership. If you ignore the experts and focus on the constituents, the turnaround isn't just possible, it's already happening. But let's get into the meat of this, because this is where this hits your pocketbook. Trump's ratepayer protection pledge is the most important economic story nobody's explaining. We're in the middle of an AI gold rush, and the Silicon Valley barons want you to pay for the electricity. They want to suck the grid dry to train their chatbots while grandmas in St. Charles see their heating bills double. Trump looked at the tech titans and said, "Not on my watch." So by forcing these data centers to build their own power plants, he's protecting the American standard of living from the appetite of the elites. It is the end of the subsidy for the woke tech class. And he's backing it up by cranking American oil production to 600,000 barrels a day. We are now reaching all-time highs. So he isn't just talking about green energy fantasies. He's talking about dominance that puts money back in our wallets. So what's the lesson? A nation that controls its own energy controls its own destiny. And last night, the destiny was looking bolder, brighter, and a whole lot cheaper. Now, you got to balance the optimism with the reality of the deep state fight. We talked to the judge today, and he brought the fire. He's sounding the alarm on the nihilism of power. And while I gave him some pushback, we have to recognize the core truth. If we sacrifice the Constitution to win the war on drugs, what do we have left to defend? We saw this at the BAFTAs too, where biology was rejected in favor of taboo. John Davidson, a man with a documented condition, was treated like a moral criminal because his neurons fired off a forbidden sound. It's the same spirit. The regime wants compliance over truth. They want silence over expletives. They want you to ignore the science of Tourette's, and they want you to ignore the due process of the high seas. They want a controlled, legible, and submissive populace. Whether it's California's backdoor social credit system or the media's linguistic witch trials, the goal is the same: to make you afraid to speak, afraid to say that word, afraid to produce and have children, and afraid to challenge the machine. The lesson is clear. Liberty isn't given, it's claimed, it's taken by refusing to comply with nonsense, by spending your money and your time in the alternative economy like you're doing now. So as we close the book on this show today, remember this: you are the producer class. You are the people who keep the lights on, the wheels turning, and the country's moving. Trump's golden age only works if you have the courage to enact it, if you have the courage to be free. Thank you very much for unlocking the mini documentary today, guys. You're amazing. Don't let the media taboos silence you guys. We're disarming words. We're going to challenge big government when we disagree with it, but when they do a good job, sometimes you give them a round of applause. Thanks for being a part of the For Liberty Network. Grab your coffee, head to the shop, forlibertyshop.com, get some 250th anniversary merch, and tomorrow we'll be back. We'll do it all over again. I'm Austin Petersen. This has been the Wake Up America show. Stay free, stay loud, and wake up, America.
Imagine a vast, ancient land torn by chaos, where empires crumble and new powers rise from the ashes. This is the story of how the communists conquered China, not through the will of the people, but through cunning, violence, and relentless ambition. Forget the party's glossy propaganda. The real tale is one of marginal rebels who clawed their way to victory against